The great station called Concordia Prime hung in the darkness between star systems like a metal moon. It was bigger than most planets, home to millions of beings from across the galaxy. Today, representatives from 847 different alien races had gathered for the most important vote in 3,000 years. Chancellor Velthar of the Andromedans called the session to order. His blue skin shimmered under the chamber's lights as he spoke into the translation device that would carry his words to every species present. We are here to decide the fate of species 7841 Terra, the humans of Earth. The charges against humanity were serious, too serious to ignore any longer. Ambassador Zeklon from the Rigel Collective stood first. His insect-like form clicked and buzzed as he spoke. The humans terraform planets without asking permission from native life forms. They change entire worlds to suit themselves. This is against all galactic law. Representative Shiara from the Crystal Worlds agreed. Her voice rang like wind chimes. Humans solve problems with violence first. They shoot first and ask questions later. In the past 50 years, they have started 17 wars with other species. More voices joined the complaints. The humans built colonies too fast. They took resources without trading fairly. They refused to follow the rules that kept peace in the galaxy. Worst of all, they kept growing stronger and spreading further every year. Ambassador Chen Wei sat alone in the human section, listening to the accusations. She was a small woman with gray hair and tired eyes. For 20 years, she had worked to keep peace between Earth and the galaxy. Now she watched 800 alien species vote to throw humanity out of space forever. The evidence is clear, Chancellor Velthar announced. Humans are too dangerous to remain in galactic society. They cannot be taught to follow our ways. They will not stop their expansion. There is only one solution. The vote was electronic and instant. 847 lights appeared on the great board. Chen Wei held her breath as the results came in. Green for exile, red for mercy. The lights flashed green one by one until the board blazed like an emerald star. Unanimous. Every single species in the galaxy had voted to exile. Earth Chancellor Velthar read the formal declaration. By the unanimous decision of the Galactic Council, species 7841 Terra is hereby expelled from galactic society. All human colonies, ships, and installations must withdraw beyond their home system within one standard galactic year. Any human presence detected in galactic space after this deadline will face corrective enforcement. Chen Wei stood slowly. Her hands shook as she activated her own translation device. What does corrective enforcement mean? You do not wish to discover this, Chancellor Velthar replied. Comply with the exile, and your species may live peacefully in your birth system forever. Refuse, and face the consequences. The message reached Earth 3 days later. Luna Station received the transmission first, then bounced it to every human settlement in the solar system. By the time the news reached the outer colonies on Titan and Europa, riots had already started on Earth. The Solar Parliament building in Geneva buzzed with angry voices. Representatives from every nation and colony argued through the night. Some demanded immediate compliance. We cannot fight the entire galaxy, Senator Rodriguez from Mars shouted. We must accept exile and survive. Others called for defiance. General Rebecca Stone slammed her fist on the podium. We have children on 300 worlds. Are we supposed to abandon them because aliens think we are too wild for their perfect galaxy? President Sarah Okafor listened to the debates for 18 hours straight. Finally, she called for silence. The chamber fell quiet as she stood. She was young for a president, only 45, but her voice carried the weight of all humanity. My fellow humans, she began. We came from a single world and spread to the stars because that is what humans do. We explore, we build, we survive. We have faced ice ages and plagues and wars that nearly destroyed us. We have never surrendered our future to others. She paused, looking at each face in the chamber. The galaxy calls us dangerous. They say we are too violent, too wild, too unpredictable. Maybe they are right, but being dangerous is not the same as being wrong. The president's next words would echo through history. We will not abandon our colonies. We will not retreat to Earth like frightened children. If the galaxy wants us gone, they will have to take us by force. And if they try, they will learn why humans earned the reputation that scares them so much. The vote was close. 312 for defiance, 287 for compliance. Humanity had chosen its path. Admiral Marcus Torres immediately began preparing Earth's defenses. The orbital shipyards around Mars shifted from building colony ships to constructing warships. The asteroid mining facilities started producing armor and weapons instead of building materials. If war was coming, humanity would be ready. Chen Wei remained on Concordia Prime, officially to negotiate but really to spy. She watched the alien reactions to Earth's defiance with growing worry. The older species seemed sad but resigned. The younger ones appeared genuinely afraid. "Why are they so scared of us?" she asked Dr. Kethmar, a friendly researcher from the peaceful Vegan Republic. They sat in the station's observation lounge watching ships from dozens of species dock and depart. Dr. Kethmar's tentacles writhed nervously. "Your species is unique, Ambassador Chen. Most civilizations develop faster than light travel after achieving global peace. You built starships while still fighting wars on your homeworld. Most species terraform worlds to preserve existing life. You reshape entire planets to match your needs." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "Every other species in the galaxy follows predictable patterns. We can calculate what they will do in any situation. But humans, you are chaos given form. You do the impossible because you do not know it is impossible." Chen Wei felt a chill run down her spine. "And that scares them?" "It terrifies them," Dr. Kethmar admitted. "Because chaos cannot be controlled. And the Council has spent 3,000 years making sure everything in the galaxy can be controlled." That night, Chen Wei sent an encrypted message to Earth. The aliens were not just angry about human expansion. They were afraid of what humanity might become if left unchecked. The exile was not punishment. It was prevention. On Earth, President Okafor read the message in her private office. Through the window she could see the lights of orbital construction. Thousands of ships taking shape, millions of workers preparing for the unknown. Humanity had voted for defiance, but now she understood what they were really defying. The galaxy did not want to exile humanity for being bad. They wanted to exile humanity for being unpredictable, for being the one species that might change everything. OK4 activated her secure communication system and sent new orders to every human world. "Continue the construction. Double the pace. If they fear what we might become, let us show them they were right to be afraid." The deadline was 11 months away. The galaxy expected compliance or surrender. Instead, they would get something no alien species had seen before. Humans who knew they were supposed to be impossible and decided to prove it. In the depths of space, automated sensors detected the first human ships moving beyond the solar system's edge. They were not retreating, they were advancing. The galaxy had made its choice about humanity's future. Now humanity would make its own choice about the galaxy's. 18 months had passed since the Galactic Council's ultimatum. The deadline was still 10 months away, but humanity's defiance had not gone unnoticed. The first warning came without words, delivered in the language of absolute destruction. Captain Maria Santos never saw what killed her ship. One moment, the mining vessel Prometheus was pulling rare metals from an asteroid in the Kepler 442 system. The crew was working normal shifts, eating normal meals, living normal lives. The next moment, they simply were not. Admiral Torres stared at the sensor readings in his office on Luna Station. He had read the report 5 times, hoping to find some mistake. The Prometheus had vanished completely. No explosion, no debris field, no distress signal. The ship had existed at 1432 ship time. At 1433, it was gone. "Show me the scan data again," he told Lieutenant Wong. The holographic display lit up with the Kepler system. The asteroid belt appeared as thousands of small dots. Where the Prometheus should have been, there was something impossible. A perfect sphere of absolute emptiness. Not space dust or gas or radiation. Nothing at all. "Sir," Wong said quietly, "I have run the deep scans 12 times. The sphere is exactly 2 kilometers across. That was the length of the Prometheus." Torres felt cold despite the warm air in the command center. The aliens had not destroyed the ship. They had deleted it, removed it from reality itself, leaving only a hole where it used to be. "Send a message to all human ships and stations," Torres ordered. "Report any unusual sensor readings immediately, and activate the emergency beacon network." The emergency beacons were humanity's early warning system, spread across 50 star systems. They could detect ships, energy signatures, and gravitational anomalies from light years away. If something was hunting human installations, the beacons would see it coming. Dr. Aisha Patel arrived at Luna Station the next day. She had demanded, to see the Prometheus data personally. Torres watched her work, admiring the way she studied each reading with intense focus. After 6 hours, she looked up with troubled eyes. "Admiral, I need to take a team to the Kepler system. I need to study that empty sphere." "Absolutely not," Torres replied. "Whatever happened to the Prometheus could happen to you." "Sir, 200 people are dead, and we do not know how they died. If this weapon is used again, thousands more will die. I need to understand what we are facing." Torres wanted to refuse. Dr. Patel was too valuable to risk, but she was also right. The research ship Galileo departed for Kepler 442 2 days later, carrying Dr. Patel and her team of 20 scientists. They found something that should not exist. The empty sphere hung in space like a wound in reality. Dr. Patel sent probe after probe into the void, but none returned any data. The spheres seemed to absorb everything that entered them. "It is not a weapon," Dr. Patel reported to Admiral Torres. "It is a surgical tool. Whatever created this can cut matter away from space-time itself. The precision is incredible." While Dr. Patel worked in the Kepler system, more human installations began to disappear. The agricultural station knew. Geneva vanished while transmitting a routine crop report. The mining platform Deep Strike disappeared in the middle of a shift change. The research outpost on Proxima Centauri B went silent during a children's birthday party. Each disappearance followed the same pattern. Normal operations, then instant absence. Perfect spheres of nothingness where human structures used to be. No survivors, no witnesses. No hope of rescue. Dr. Patel returned to Luna Station with data that changed everything. "I know how they are doing it," she announced to the assembled military leaders, "and I know why we cannot see them coming." She activated the holographic projector. The weapon platforms are hidden in the empty spaces between star systems. They are massive, probably the size of cities. They use some kind of space-folding technology to appear instantly next to their targets. General Stone studied the projection. "How many platforms are there?" "I estimate at least 50, probably more. They have enough firepower to delete every human installation in the galaxy within a few hours." "Can we destroy them?" Torres asked. Dr. Patel shook her head. "We cannot even see them until they attack. And when they do attack, they can delete our ships before we can fire back." The room fell silent. Humanity had faced impossible odds before, but this was different. How do you fight an enemy that can erase you from existence? President Okafor's image appeared on the main screen, broadcasting from Earth. "Dr. Patel, what are our options?" "Madam President, we have two choices. We can evacuate all colonies and return to Earth as the Council demands, or we can try to develop our own space deletion technology before they decide to use theirs." "How long would that take?" "Years. Maybe decades. The physics involved are beyond anything we currently understand." President Okafor was quiet for a long moment. "Dr. Patel, you have unlimited resources and full authority to research this technology. Admiral Torres, continue preparing our defenses. General Stone, I want contingency plans for evacuating the outer colonies." The transmission ended, leaving the command staff alone with their impossible task. They had 10 months to solve a problem that might not have a solution. 3 days later, the emergency beacons detected massive energy signatures appearing simultaneously in 17 star systems. Each signature lasted exactly 37 seconds, then vanished. When the human ships arrived to investigate, they found 17 new spheres of nothingness where human colonies used to be. 50,000 people, gone in just over half a minute. The Wire. Second message from the Galactic Council was shorter than the first. Warning acknowledged. Compliance timeline reduced to 6 months. This mercy will not be repeated. Dr. Patel read the message while floating in the observation deck of her research ship. Around her, the stars looked the same as always, beautiful and distant and cold, but now she knew that somewhere in the darkness, alien machines waited with the power to cut holes in reality itself. Humanity had 6 months to find an answer to the impossible. The galaxy was about to learn that impossible was just another word for a problem humans had not solved yet. President Okafor's response to the second ultimatum was broadcast across every human communication channel in the galaxy. She stood before the cameras in the Oval Office, her jaw set with determination that had become humanity's trademark. "To the Galactic Council," she began, "you have made your position clear. You want humanity to retreat to Earth and abandon our children among the stars. Our answer is simple: no." The response was immediate and merciless. The colony of New Johannesburg, on Kepler 452b, was humanity's crown jewel. 800,000 people called it home, living in gleaming cities under artificial skies. The planet had forests and lakes and schools full of children who had never seen Earth. It was humanity's proof that they could build paradise among alien stars. The deletion took 17 seconds. Admiral Torres watched the disaster unfold from the emergency command center on Luna Station. The colony's sensors transmitted normally until 09:43 local time. Then the feed simply stopped. Deep space telescopes confirmed what everyone already feared: a perfect sphere of nothingness, 800 kilometers across, where New Johannesburg used to be. 800,000 people erased from existence. The massacres continued throughout the week. The generation ship Endeavour, carrying 50,000 colonists to the Tau Ceti system, sent a final transmission before entering one of the void spheres. The last message was audio only. Children singing in the ship's school, their voices cut off mid-note, the mining colonies in the Vega system, the research stations around Barnard Star, the trading post in the Centauri cluster. One by one, humanity's achievements among the stars became perfect spheres of absolute emptiness. But humanity's defiance had not been built on ignorance. While the galaxy watched human colonies disappear, they missed the real story happening. In the darkness between star systems, General Rebecca Stone floated in the observation deck of the stealth ship Shadow, watching something that should not exist. The alien construct hung in empty space like a mechanical moon, its surface covered in weapons that could unmake reality itself. Stone's reconnaissance teams had found 12 of these platforms hidden in the voids between stars. Nullifiers, Dr. Patel had named them, studying the images from her laboratory on Luna Station. They fold space around themselves to remain hidden. When they attack, they project a field that severs matter from the quantum foundation of space-time. The matter does not explode or burn. It simply stops existing. Stone recorded everything through her ship's advanced sensors. The nullifiers were massive, each one the size of a city. Strange beings moved across their surfaces, creatures that looked like they had been built rather than born. Part machine, part living tissue. They tended the deletion weapons with mechanical precision. Those are the erasers, Dr. Patel explained during Stone's next report to Luna Command. I think they are volunteers from various species who gave up their biological forms to operate the nullifiers. They exist partially outside normal spacetime, which protects them from their own weapons. Admiral Torres studied the reconnaissance data with growing understanding. The entire galactic civilization is built on controlled fear. They maintain order by threatening to erase anyone who causes problems. Exactly, Dr. Patel agreed. And now they are using that same threat against us. While the outer colonies fell, Dr. Patel's research team worked frantically in the asteroid belt of the Sol system. They had built a testing facility on Ceres, far enough from Earth to be safe but close enough for quick evacuation. The experiments were dangerous beyond imagination. Dr. Patel had learned to create small null zones using modified human technology. Each test required sacrificing chunks of asteroid material, watching it vanish into spheres of nothingness. The work was slow and expensive, but it taught them how the deletion effect worked. The quantum threads that hold matter together can be cut, she explained to President Okafor during a secure transmission. But they can also be reinforced. I believe we can build ships that resist the deletion effect. How long do you need? 2 years minimum, maybe 3. Okafor's face was grim. Doctor, we have lost over 1 million people in the past month. The galaxy is not going to give us 2 years. Dr. Patel knew the president was right, but she also knew something else. Hidden in the classified sections of her research were plans for more than just defensive technology. If humans could learn to cut quantum threads, they could also learn to weaponize the cutting. Meanwhile, the orbital shipyards around Mars worked with desperate urgency. The new ships taking shape looked nothing like traditional human vessels. They were covered in strange equipment that Dr. Patel called phase arrays. The ships seemed to flicker sometimes, as if they were not entirely real. Captain Elena Vasquez had volunteered to command the first of these experimental vessels. The Wraith was scheduled to launch in 4 months, carrying technology that existed more in theory than practice. If Dr. Patel was right, the ship could phase partially out of normal spacetime, making it immune to the deletion weapons. If Dr. Patel was wrong, Captain Vasquez and her crew would simply vanish like all the others. The final test came when the colony ship Explorer's Dream tried to reach the Tau Ceti system. The ship carried 30,000 volunteers who refused to abandon humanity's expansion into space. Admiral Torres watched the sensor feeds as the massive vessel approached the edge of the Tau Ceti system. The nullifier appeared without warning, space folding around it like origami. The deletion field activated, reaching out toward the explorers, dream with invisible fingers of nothingness. For a moment it seemed like the ship might escape. The explorer's dream had been equipped with Dr. Patel's experimental phase shields, technology that should have protected it from deletion. The shields activated, causing the ship to shimmer like a mirage. But the technology was not ready. The phase shields failed after 37 seconds. The explorer's dream and its 30,000 passengers joined the growing collection of empty spheres that marked humanity's retreat from the galaxy. Dr. Patel watched the disaster from her laboratory on Ceres. Tears floated in the zero gravity as she realized her experimental shields were not strong enough. The aliens had been perfecting their deletion technology for thousands of years. Humanity had been working on countermeasures for less than 2 years. "We need more time," she whispered to her assistant, Dr. Martinez. "Time is what we do not have," Martinez replied, pointing at the latest intelligence reports. "The nullifiers are moving closer to the Sol system. They will be here within months." Dr. Patel wiped away her tears and turned back to her work. Time was running out, but humans had always done their best work under pressure. The galaxy thought they could force humanity back to Earth through fear and superior technology. They were about to learn that cornering humans was the most dangerous mistake any species could make. 2 years after the first null zone appeared, humanity was ready to give their answer to the galaxy. The Ghost Fleet hung in formation beyond Pluto's orbit, 12 ships that flickered in and out of visible space like mechanical phantoms. They represented everything Dr. Patel had learned about fighting the impossible. Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the lead ship, Wraith. She was a veteran of the Mars colonial wars, a woman who had learned to fight in the vacuum of space before most humans knew aliens existed. Now she commanded technology that existed in the spaces between atoms, piloting a ship that could phase in and out of reality itself. "All ships report ready," came the voice of her communications officer. Around her, the bridge crew worked at stations that hummed with quantum energy. The phase drives were online, casting everything in a faint blue glow that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. "Target acquired," reported her tactical officer. "The Centauri nullifier is holding position 2 light-years from Alpha Centauri. Long-range sensors confirm it is the platform responsible for deleting Proxima Station." Vasquez nodded. The Ghost Fleet's first mission was personal. The nullifier in the Centauri system had erased 400 scientists and their families while they slept. Children who would never grow up, researchers who would never make another discovery, gone in an instant, deleted like errors in a computer program. "All ships prepare for phase jump," Vasquez commanded. "We are going to show the galaxy what happens when you threaten human children." The Ghost Fleet vanished from normal space. They did not use faster-than-light travel like other species. Instead, they slipped between the quantum layers of reality, moving through spaces that technically did not exist. It was dangerous beyond measure. One mistake could scatter a ship's atoms across multiple dimensions. They reappeared in the Centauri system like vengeful spirits. The nullifier detected them immediately, its massive bulk turning toward the human ships with mechanical precision. The platform was enormous, a dark metal city floating in the void. Strange creatures moved across its surface, the erasers who operated the deletion weapons. "Phase shields to maximum," Vasquez ordered. "All ships, engage." The nullifier's response was swift and terrible. Deletion fields swept out from the platform like invisible death, reaching for the human ships with the power to unmake reality. The field struck the Ghost Fleet's phase shields and passed through them like light through glass. The human ships flickered, becoming translucent. For 17 minutes, they existed in the spaces between normal matter, untouchable by weapons designed to delete conventional reality. The nullifier's operators had never seen anything like it. Vasquez smiled grimly as her ship's weapons charged. "Fire everything." The Ghost Fleet's weapons were not traditional lasers or missiles. They were phase cannons that fired bullets of crystallized nothingness, fragments of null space that Dr. Patel had learned to stabilize and weaponize. The shots passed through the nullifier's shields as if they did not exist, because technically they did not. The platform died slowly. Each phase cannon shot created a small sphere of deletion inside the nullifier's hull. The weapon that had erased so many human lives was consumed by the same nothingness it had wielded. The erasers tried to abandon their stations, but there was nowhere to run. Their city-sized platform collapsed into itself, reality folding inward, until nothing remained but empty space. The destruction of the Centauri nullifier sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council. Emergency sessions convened as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The humans had not retreated, they had attacked, and somehow, they had turned the Council's ultimate weapon against itself. Chancellor Velthar read the tactical reports, with growing disbelief. How is this possible? The deletion field struck the human ships directly. They should have been erased. His military advisor, General Krextal from the warrior species of Rigel, studied the battle recordings with professional interest. The human ships became unclear during the engagement. Our sensors could detect them, but the deletion fields could not lock onto them properly. Explain. It appears the humans have learned to exist partially outside normal space-time. When the deletion fields activate, the human ships phase shift to avoid complete erasure. They become ghosts that our weapons cannot touch. More bad news arrived hourly. The Vega nullifier had been destroyed while trying to delete a human mining operation. The Sirius platform was found as the expanding cloud of debris, its eraser crew floating dead in space. The humans were systematically hunting down the galaxy's enforcement tools. In his private chambers, Chancellor Velthar contacted the most secret council of all, the Architects. These ancient beings had designed the nullifier system 3,000 years ago, creating the ultimate tool for maintaining galactic order. They rarely spoke to anyone, considering most species too young to understand their wisdom. The humans have learned to weaponize the void, Velthar reported. They are destroying our nullifiers and killing our erasers. The response came in a voice like grinding stone. Impossible. No species has ever resisted deletion once the process begins. The humans have. They exist in the spaces between reality when our weapons activate. Silence stretched for long moments. Finally, the architect spoke again. This cannot be allowed to continue. If other species learn that the nullifiers can be defeated, our entire system of control will collapse. Activate the final protocol. Velthar felt ice in his alien blood. Are you certain? The final protocol has never been tested on a species' homeworld. The humans have forced our hand. They will not accept exile through reason or force. Therefore, they must be made an example that will discourage any future defiance. Captain Vasquez received the warning, while her fleet regrouped after destroying their fifth nullifier. The message came from an unexpected source. A group of erasers who had abandoned their posts rather than continue fighting the Ghost Fleet. Captain, the lead eraser transmitted. We were created to be weapons, but we choose to be something else. Your species faces total extinction. The architects have ordered the deployment of the Omega Protocol. Every nullifier in the galaxy will target your home system simultaneously. Vasquez felt her heart stop. How long do we have? 72 hours. The nullifiers are already moving into position around Sol. They plan to delete your entire star system from existence. The Ghost Fleet raced toward Earth at maximum phase drive, slipping between dimensions to cover impossible distances. But even at their fastest, they would arrive too late. 12 ships could not fight 50 nullifiers designed to delete an entire solar system. Admiral Torres evacuated Luna Station and pulled all defense platforms back to Earth's orbit. If humanity was going to die, they would die defending their homeworld. President Okafor addressed the planet one final time. My fellow humans, she said, standing before the great windows of the Global Assembly Building. We have 6 billion people on Earth and 20 billion more scattered across our solar system. The galaxy has decided we all must die for the crime of refusing to surrender our freedom. She paused, looking out at the city lights that had grown from tiny villages to span continents. We face our final test. In 72 hours, weapons beyond our understanding will try to delete us from existence. We cannot run. We cannot hide. We can only face this threat as we have faced every other, together. Around Earth, the orbital defense platforms powered up their weapons. They were useless against deletion fields, but humanity would not go quietly into the void. If they were going to be erased, they would make the galaxy remember the cost of silencing the human voice. Dr. Patel worked without sleep in her laboratory on Ceres. She had one last desperate idea, a modification to the phase drive technology that might save some small part of humanity. It was untested and dangerous, but there was no time for proper trials. If I am right, she told Dr. Martinez, we can phase the entire Earth into the space between dimensions. The planet will still exist, but outside normal spacetime where the deletion fields cannot reach it. And if you are wrong, then we accidentally delete ourselves and save the aliens the trouble. Long-range sensors detected the nullifiers taking position around the Sol system. 50 massive platforms emerging from folded space like metal gods of destruction. They formed a perfect sphere around humanity's home, each one targeting a different section of Earth's solar system. Admiral Torres watched them arrive with something like admiration. I have to respect their efficiency. They are not taking any chances this time. General Stone disagreed. They are afraid of us, Marcus. 50 platforms to kill one species? That is not efficiency. That is terror. The nullifiers began charging their weapons. Energy readings spiked across all human sensors as the deletion fields prepared to activate. In 72 hours, they would fire simultaneously, creating a null zone large enough to erase Earth's sun and everything around it. Captain Vasquez and the Ghost Fleet arrived with 36 hours to spare. 12 ships against 50 nullifiers. The odds were impossible, but humans had made careers out of beating impossible odds. All ships, this is Wraith Actual. Vasquez broadcast to her fleet. The galaxy thinks they can delete humanity from existence. They think we are just another species that will bow to superior force. 3 years after the first warning, Ambassador Chen Wei stood once again before the Galactic Council. But everything had changed. The Great Chamber on Concordia Prime was half empty now, many species having fled rather than face the consequences of their decision to exile humanity. Behind Chen Wei, holographic displays showed the devastation. 37 nullifiers destroyed, the eraser species in open rebellion against their former masters. 17 council member species secretly negotiating defense treaties with Earth. The perfect order that had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years was collapsing. Chancellor Velthar looked older than his 800 years. His blue skin had faded to pale gray, and his hands trembled as he read the report. In all the history of the Galactic Council, no exiled species has ever resisted erasure. How did you do it? Chen Wei smiled slightly. You made a mistake, Chancellor. You assumed humans were like every other species you had encountered. You thought we would fear deletion and surrender to your superior technology. She gestured to the holographic displays. But humans do not surrender. When you threatened to erase us from existence, we learned to exist in the spaces between existence. When you tried to delete our ships, we built ships that could become ghosts. When you brought weapons that unmade reality, we turned unreality itself into our greatest weapon. The chamber buzzed with alien voices as the translation devices carried her words to hundreds of species. Many council members shifted nervously in their seats. They had spent their entire lives believing that the nullifiers made them untouchable. Now they faced an enemy that had proven even ultimate weapons could be defeated. Dr. Kethmar from the Vegan Republic raised one of his tentacles. Ambassador Chen, your species has demonstrated remarkable abilities. But at what cost? You have lost over 2 million people to the nullifiers. Was Defiance worth such a price? Chen Wei's expression hardened. Doctor, you helped design the exile vote. You sat in this chamber and condemned humanity to imprisonment in our birth system. Every person who died fighting for our freedom died, because you and your colleagues decided we did not deserve to live among the stars. The accusation hung in the air like poison. Dr. Kethmar's tentacles writhed with shame, but Chen Wei was not finished. You want to know what we learned in 3 years of war? We learned that the entire galactic civilization is built on a lie. You maintain peace through controlled terror. You keep order by threatening to erase anyone who disagrees with you. The nullifiers were not defense platforms. They were tools of oppression. She activated her own holographic display, showing images that made many council members look away. Eraser prisoners, captured during the destruction of the nullifiers, revealing the truth about their transformation. Beings who had volunteered to give up their biological forms, becoming living weapons in exchange for promises of honor and purpose. The erasers were not volunteers, Chen Wei announced. They were criminals and dissidents, sentenced to biomechanical conversion as punishment for defying council authority. You turned your own people into machines and called it justice. Chancellor Velthar tried to maintain his composure. Even if that were true, it does not change the facts. Your species is dangerous. You have proven that by destroying our enforcement systems. We are dangerous, Chen Wei agreed. But so is every species worth knowing. The difference is that we are dangerous to tyrants, not to friends. She walked to the center of the chamber, addressing the assembled representatives directly. Humanity, offers you a choice. You can continue trying to erase us and we will turn your own weapons against you until nothing remains of your precious order. Or you can accept us as equals and learn to live with a species that refuses to bow to authority. The debate that followed lasted for days. Some species demanded continued war against humanity. Others argued for immediate peace. The crystalline hegemony suggested a middle path, limited human expansion under strict council oversight. But the real surprise came from an unexpected source. The surviving erasers, led by their former commander designated Unit 7739, requested permission to address the council. The biomechanical being that had once been the galaxy's most feared enforcer now stood as humanity's unlikely ally. For 3,000 years we served as your instruments of deletion, Unit 7739 said, its mechanical voice carrying across the chamber. We erased species, planets, entire civilizations because you told us they threatened galactic peace. We believed we were protecting order. The former eraser's optical sensors focused on Chancellor Velthar. But the humans showed us something we had forgotten. They showed us that some things are worth the risk of chaos. Freedom, choice, the right to make mistakes and learn from them. Unit 7739 turned to address the entire assembly. We have seen what humans become when you try to delete them. They become something that lives in the spaces between your rules, in the gaps of your perfect system. They become the proof that your order is not as absolute as you believed. The final vote was closer than anyone expected. 423 species voted for continued exile. 424 voted against. The deadlock seemed impossible to break until Unit 7739 stepped forward. The erasers cast our vote for humanity, the biomechanical being announced. We have served as your weapons long enough. Now we choose to serve as conscience. The chamber erupted in chaos. The erasers had never been granted voting rights, being considered tools rather than beings. But they had been created from member species, and their legal status had never been clearly defined. After hours of arguing, the Council's legal experts ruled that the vote was valid. By a single vote, humanity was readmitted to galactic society. But Chen Wei's victory speech was not about forgiveness. She stood before the Council with the quiet confidence of someone who had seen their entire species nearly deleted from existence. Today you voted to accept humanity not because you wanted to, but because you had no choice. You learned that we cannot be erased, cannot be controlled, cannot be forced to abandon what we have built. She paused, letting her words sink in. Some of you will try to restrict us, to limit our expansion, to make us follow rules designed for species that fear their own shadows. But you have seen what humans do when threatened with extinction. Remember that lesson well. The new treaty granted humanity full membership in galactic society, with one important change. The nullifier system was dismantled permanently, its deletion technology banned by unanimous vote. The galaxy had learned that weapons capable of erasing reality could not be trusted in anyone's hands. As Chen Wei prepared to return to Earth, Unit 7739 approached her in the station's docking bay. Ambassador, why did your species help us? We were your enemies. Chen Wei considered the question carefully. Because you chose to be something more than weapons. That is the most human thing anyone can do. The eraser's optical sensors dimmed slightly, the closest their kind could come to showing emotion. What will happen to us now? The same thing that happens to all humans, Chen Wei replied. You will have the freedom to choose your own path. And if anyone tries to stop you, they will learn that humanity protects its friends just as fiercely as it fights its enemies. As her ship departed Concordia Prime, Chen Wei looked back at the great station where the galaxy had voted twice on humanity's fate. The first vote had been unanimous for exile. The second had been decided by former slaves choosing freedom over servitude. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Never try to delete a species clever enough to make friends with nothingness itself. Because humans had a talent for turning the impossible into the inevitable, and their greatest strength was not their technology or their weapons. Their greatest strength was their refusal to accept that anything was truly impossible.